Welcome to the show, Ethan Kinnan, Lindy.ai. Ethan is the head of partnerships, and with him, we have Marvin Aziz, head of community. How are you doing? Ethan, you're not on mute, but for some reason, the sound is not connecting here.
You hear me now?
Yeah,
Oh, sweet. I saying great to see all you guys, and thanks for having me. Marvin's unfortunately woke up pretty sick today, so it'll be just me. But that doesn't mean it'll be any less exciting. We have a lot of great stuff planned for you guys.
no worries. Well, excited to have you here. And as you know, I'm going to ask you the hard question right off the bat.
Mhm.
Lindy.ai, lots of good PR, lots of good engagement and traction, obviously. Curious, what are some, ROI stories, case studies, anything tangible from your multi-agent deployments?
Yeah, totally. Great question. I think first, I think whatever use cases follow patterns, like those are the ones that you're gonna have like the highest ROI on today. So like some of the ones that we see work really well, particularly customer support, because you can with Lindy pretty much integrate it to any sort of system you already have. Integrate it to your CRM, integrate it to say if you're using Zendesk, email, inbound text, phone, and so a lot of these like multi-touch point customer support agents are really great. Because you always, they follow the same patterns. You can always escalate to a human. So depending on how you're building it, that's one case that I think is like really good. Others, like even I think even taking our own team, for example, our Lindy, our sales leader here at Lindy, she kind of confusing. She's a real person. Her name's Lindy, but she obviously sells a lot of agents, and she has like the most cracked agentic note taker that manages all of her follow-ups. It updates our CRM. It logs like a spreadsheet with like hundreds of qualitative attributes that the AI is parsing, and all those things. So it's like any sort of things. I guess those are. I keep going for the whole 30 minutes, but those are two that we see working really well.
Super cool. Let's dive into it, Ethan.
Yeah, totally. All right, I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and um, alrighty. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
You see my screen? Perfect. All right, so it's gonna be pretty, hands-on. I'm just like really gonna want to go into the platform and show you guys like how easy it is to actually deploy an agent. Because I think a lot of people, you feel agents kind of feel reserved for engineers, but like I promise, it's really getting a lot easier. So I'm gonna show you guys. I'm actually gonna build 2 agents live for you today, and we're gonna see the results live. So obviously, I'm Ethan. I run our partnerships and ecosystem, and like really excited to be here. So what are we going to talk about kind of in this workshop? And then we'll wrap up with some more questions if we have any. First, really just kind of grounding ourselves on what is an agent. Then from that, I'm going to build an agent in 3 steps, just like a simple email agent. After that, we're going to just quickly run through the easiest way to build agents on Lindy's platform. Then after that, I know, a lot of people are interested in sales enrichment, which is maybe one use case I forgot to mention at the beginning, but sales enrichment and extracting a ton of information and figuring out how to communicate with people at scale is something we see works really well. And then lastly, just want to give you guys access to everything we built in the session today. I'm so going to let you know how to access that. Alrighty, but dive into it. So what is an agent? So I like to think about the spectrum of automation to AI agents. And if you think of automation as kind of traditional rules-based, if X happens, then Z happens, everything's really fixed. Whereas like AI agents all the way on the other side, where, the agent is picking and choosing the steps to get there. Whereas like in between an AI workflow, somewhere in the middle, where you give the AI some control in certain steps, but a lot of things are still fixed. And so Lindy, we build primarily in the AI workflow and the AI agent side. Don't need to memorize everything on this chart, but I think it's just helpful to kind of set this basis before we dive into the product. And then what is Lindy? It's truly the world's easiest way to build AI agents. And so we build a lot of things on the AI workflow and the AI agent side. And so kind of those two areas are where Lindy thrives. And it really is that easy. You guys will see here in just a second. So with that, I'm going to build an email agent in 3 steps. It really is that easy. Then maybe we can pause see if anyone has questions after that. But let's just jump right into it. So if I jump over here, we can see, so this is our Lindy platform. This is our home screen. So there's ways you can actually just build agents by describing them, which is really powerful. But I'm going to show more of that later. I'm going to show how easy it is to build from scratch. So I'm just going to open a new agent. So if we start from scratch, if you have built, on other automation platforms, or I don't know, maybe some people like Zapier or kind of other things, like this kind of flow editor interface is probably familiar. If not, I just encourage you to really think about the work you're doing in patterns and steps. Like really, it's like everything's a pattern. We're configuring it into a step. And so in this case, I'm going to build an email assistant. So I always like to name my agents off the bat. So again, this is our flow editor. So this is where if you're configuring any agent on Lindy, you'll just get taken to a screen like this. And then very first and most importantly, we need to give our agent a trigger, which is basically just telling our agent, hey, like this is how you wake up. There's a lot of ways to make your agent wake up, but in this case, I'm going to build an email assistant for myself. And so I need the agent to wake up whenever it receives an email. And so with that, I'm going to click on Gmail, email received. So this is our action picker. By the way, we have over 5,000 integrations. So odds are if you are using something, it integrates with Lindy. But in this case, going to keep it pretty simple. Email received. So this means my agent's going to wake up anytime that it receives an email. I know I'm just kind of throwing you guys in. I always like to just show how easy it is, and then we'll kind of backtrack and explain a little more what I'm doing. So if we're thinking in steps, it's really going to be that simple. I want every time I receive an email, I want to label it, and then I want to draft a reply. So really, I promise you guys 3 steps. So then next, I'm going to add another action. And if you think about, email, label, reply, so I'm just going to add the email action or the label. See, add label. And then I'm going to add one more action. And that's going to be sending a reply. So you can see I added these 3 steps onto our flow editor, just like this. And now configuring the steps. So this is much more if you think back to kind of the spectrum I just talked about from automation to AI agents. Like we're building right now an AI workflow. So it's like we're defining the steps. But with that being said, there is AI involved in each step. And I'll show you how in just a moment. So for example, when I click onto add label, you'll see here, there's these different fields. Like fields are basically just like blanks to fill in like what that step is doing. And the magical part about Lindy, which like clicks for people, especially if you're used to these platforms, is AI is embedded into every field and every configuration. And so actually, if I just leave it like this, there's 3 ways to fill out any field. So we have like manual, which is more traditional. Auto is like the AI just magically auto completes it for you. And then prompt is like I'm actually talking to the AI to fill it out. So for example, in this label field, I'm going to instruct it how to go. So I'm going to turn it into a label. So if we do this real quick, in one moment, it's going to copy in a prompt just like this. Now I'm done. Like my emails are going to get labeled between urgent, action, opportunity, FYI, and spam. And then likewise, if I go to send reply, I'm going to leave this just as is. And I'm going to prompt my body. And I'm instructing the AI of how to actually reply to the email. So this is where it's like if you have like a specific style to reply to your email, go in and make this your own style. But I copy and paste what works for me, which is really just like concise, professional, keep it brief. And just like that, I'm going to save. I know we're flying through it here, but just really want to show you guys how easy it is. Like, bam, we have our agent. And I know it may have been fast, but I want to explain what we did once again real fast, and then we're going to watch it run here live. So I built more of an AI workflow in this instance. Every time I get an email, I'm going to add a label to that email. And then after that, I'm going to send a reply or draft a reply. And so now, if we look at our tasks, or sorry, flow editor, so you can see email, add label, send reply. And the nice thing is AI is infused in all these steps. And so AI is actually drafting the response. AI is assigning the label based on the prompts I just pasted in. So flow editor is like where you configure your agent. Tasks is where you can see kind of the run history of your agent. So if I send myself a quick email right here, I will see it come in. If you give me one moment. Sorry, just a second. Send. Maybe I'll refresh this real quick. Let's see. Then we'll see the task appear on the left here. So you can see I just received an email. So my agent just woke up because of that first block. And then now on the second block, so you can see it was a pretty simple email. I really enjoyed the recording or I really enjoyed today's workshop. Can you send me a recording? So you can see the AI then went to the second step and it added a label. So now my email in my inbox is labeled action based on the criteria I selected. And just like this, I already have a reply. So this reply is drafted in my inbox and I can just like one click send. You can see, hey, thanks for reaching out. I don't have access to the recording at the moment. Could you please check where it's hosted? In this case, I do have it. I am the host, so I would go ahead and edit my draft and then reply. But where this is super nice is every single inbox email I get, hundreds per day, are all labeled and all has a reply drafted. So if I want to reply, I can just one click send. So if we head back here, 3 clicks, we had an agent, like a working email assistant, that already saves me a couple hours each day. Alrighty. So now let's head back over here. So that was like a pretty simple example. What else can you build in Lindy? And so I want to show you guys, like, that's kind of a base case. Like, we have 3 steps, and I just automated my inbox just like that. This one is like a lot larger agent. So you can imagine, when you have these 50 steps and like more agentic functions in there. This is actually the one I mentioned. This is Lindy, our sales leader's meeting note taker. So if you ever hop on a call with her, and her agent handles dozens of follow-ups. It updates the CRM. It sends her like sales coaching tips. It enriches. We have this spreadsheet with like a ton of attributes that the agent then populates based on of different things in the sales call, like how did they frame pricing? Was this mentioned before this time? So it's like we're collecting so much rich data from the meeting just off of Lindy's note taker. So that's just like a teaser of, we showed you the basics. Want to give you a little bit view of kind of the ceiling. And so with that, I know like our time here is pretty short today. So I'm trying to, give you guys as much value as I can in kind of these 30 minutes. And so I'm going to give you kind of like the TLDR version of just some fundamental things in Lindy and what we just did, as well as show you how to do text to agent. Typically we do these in like a 90-minute workshop and we all do it together. But trying to, just show you guys, and then I'm also going to send you all these agents after the session. But really quick, so whenever you're building on Lindy, if you remember, there's AI workflows and there's AI agents. And so what are some of the basic building blocks for actually building within Lindy? So everything that we built is everything that we added there was a step. So you saw we had our step of like email receipt. We had our step of add label. We had our step of send reply. And these are all like AI-based actions. And there's 2 types of steps. So we have triggers, which, they just tell your agents when to wake up. And then this could be like a time-based trigger, like, hey, I want my agent to wake up at every morning at 9 a.m. and just tell me everything I need to know for the day and so forth. It could be event-based, like, hey, when the email arrives. It could be chat-based, which is more like a custom GPT. So if you like send a message, you'll receive it back. Kind of like you can talk to a Lindy within a Lindy platform, kind of like a custom GPT, if you guys are familiar with those. And then there's actions, which are basically the steps that actually do the work. So if you think of my send reply step and the add label step, those are actually steps going out and doing work. And within each step, we have to configure it. And so we have to, like, within these steps, we had to tell the agent, hey, here's how I want you to decide my labels, or hey, here's the style I want you to reply to my email. And so we instruct these configurations through these things called fields. And there's 3 ways to fill in every field. So you saw like label name was a field, like email subject is a field, email body is a field. And so we have to configure these so that the agent knows what to do on each step. And yeah, fields are basically actions, or every action and step has blanks to fill in. And there's 3 ways to fill in every field. One is just leaving on auto. And so you'll notice in that build, I kind of ignored most of the fields on the left. I was like, honestly, I'm just going to let the AI figure it out. And this is because Lindy's agents remember everything that goes on. So say I'm on like step 20 of like a crazy email agent. The Lindy's going to remember the previous 19 steps. And by doing that, it can infer and fill in things in the last step. You can prompt it. So it's like instruction based. So you saw like we instructed the style. Or you could set it manually, which is kind of just fixed. It's going to be that every time. And then the last thing I want to highlight of kind of what I think is the most powerful step within Lindy is an agent step. And so if you think of our spectrum of like AI workflow to agents, these are AI, the agents actually like independently figuring out what to do. And so you're just going to give it a couple of instructions. And with that, it's going to go out and figure things out. And so I'm actually going to show you guys just a run of this in action, because I think it'll make more sense first. So if we do this, I'm going to bounce around. So here is an example of an agent step. So notice for our email agent, we were very precise with like, email received, email label, send reply. With agent steps, I simply prompt it like, hey, your objective is to enrich like anybody and everybody. So I'm going to give you a name and I want you to go on the internet and find as much information about this person as possible. So I tell the agent what to do. I give it tools. Like I like to use the analogy of a smart intern. So I'm basically telling my smart intern, just go research. I could say like Julia, for example. And then I could say, hey, Julia, or to do this, you have a few tools. Like you can have access to LinkedIn. You have access to a couple of, like Google. You have access to Perplexity, which is like a web enrichment thing. And then I tell the smart intern when to stop. Like you can stop when you generate a full background. And so what this looks like in action, just want to show you guys real quick, is I'll just type in Julia, put in a couple names here. Let's see, Nimchinski. I think that's correct. Yeah. So we'll see. Now our agent's off and running. So I didn't define any of these steps. I just told it to go research Julia. So you can see now the agent is choosing to do these steps on its own. So the agent is searching for Julia's LinkedIn, searching Perplexity. And I'm going to kick off another one just of myself as well. So if we head back, you'll see kind of the end result. Here's one of me from yesterday. You can see eventually we get these like really rich backgrounds because the AI like figured out all the way to get to the point. I didn't tell it how to do the steps. And so this is like way more on the agentic side of the spectrum. And so this is why lead enrichment is also like a really popular use case on Lindy, because you can imagine just doing this for every like sales lead or person you come in contact with to help prep you for a meeting, to help pipe info to your CRM, to give you an understanding of how to sell to them or how to write cold emails that they open, all these things. And so while that runs, we'll let it run for a second. I know this is running. I'm going a little quick. Any questions popping up while this is coming in?
Yep, we got some questions, but before we do that, Ethan, just curious, any customer story that excites you the most in particular? Because obviously with Lindy, you have this, de-siloization within every go-to-market function, sales, marketing, CS. So what's your favorite use case?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll give two answers. One that I thought was like one of the most impactful for a customer's business, and then one that I thought was just like creative and really exciting. One that I thought was really creative and exciting was to generate signups for an event. We had a list of people. We enriched them like this, and then we built them like a one-of-one custom landing page. And so if I was inviting you to the event, you would have gotten like a custom website with like information about you, like asking you to like invite you to the event. And then Lindy like sent them an email, managed the back and forth communication, like convinced them to come. So that was one that was like super exciting. Another like really creative one was a lot of like moving companies per se don't have like websites. So if you think of like all these people on Facebook. And so we saw a customer have a Lindy agent go find all of these customers without websites. It actually built them a website, like tested it end to end, and then sent them the website and was like, hey, like, do you want to talk? Like, we built this website. So those are more like, I don't know, I kind of nerd about the creative ones. Some of the ones that I think are most impactful, like honestly, I think with AI, you can't go wrong with sometimes like the boring and like the stuff that you just know you need to automate is like we see as most impactful. And so we have a lot of customers run Lindy for their customer support. I think that's like one of the most reliable and just like steady use cases. And so we have some customers handling, in the realm of like thousands of tickets per week with Lindy. And so that just helps them be more efficient and stay on top of their things. And where I think it gets super awesome is we have like an AI engineering team that goes in, instead of it just being like, hey, I'm replying to you, like we actually build the agent to take more action. So like it can go process a refund with connection to your system, or it can update the customer status in HubSpot or all these things. Like I think another just like really awesome use case that I think saves like our team a ton of time and what we see with some of our customers is like use Lindy for CRM operations a ton. Like, we always have that person on our team kind of nagging us to, hey, like fill out your HubSpot information, like do all this. Whereas like Lindy's actually going to get way more information. It's accurate and it's like all recorded in real time. So I'd say those are two of like the ones that I see like saving people the most time. I'd say like I see those two things, which maybe are less exciting, and then some of the other exciting things that gives you a glimpse in the future is kind of the other end.
Super cool. And our folks are asking here, how do you ensure agents stay accurate when handling customer-facing tasks?
Accurate and customer-facing tasks. There's a few ways to do that. So you can actually add a human in the loop anywhere. So say before I send a customer email, I can always set Lindy to have human in the loop where I get to review the output and then click, hey, like, yes, this is good, go send. So I build in human in the loop. So a lot of my agents will like check me with Slack before taking action. So like just naturally building that in. Also, it just comes down to like how you build and construct the agent. So it's like you want to give the agent the right information to do the best job. And so we have a lot of people on our team that are help people configure these so that the agents have all the right information to be accurate. And I always just I like kind of forking my agents. So it's like if you're confident, do it. And if you can validate it, do it. And like if you're not, like alert a human. It's like really the human in loop is I think the most powerful.
Ethan, how long does it take to actually build a functional sales or CS agent from scratch?
Yeah, sales. I'd say so. You saw me build one in like five minutes here. A couple agents here today. It depends. So I've seen agents like some of our most useful agents like are really simple. Like 20 minutes, just like meeting note taker. Then it's going and updating things in a CRM, and it's like keeping it all tidy. For customers with more complicated workflows, and back when I was on kind of our forward deployed engineering team, and we have like a lot of excellent agent engineers on our team. I've seen them spend 20 hours on agents, and those are getting like really nuts and bolts, but those are like 100-step agents and they're like really bespoke to people's businesses. So it kind of just depends on the complexity you want.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, background check.
Yeah. All right. So you can see what our agent pulled on Julia. And again, I didn't tell the agent what steps to take. The agent just decided on its own. And so you can see here, uh, you know, all this information just like that. And so this is why this is super helpful for like a sales use case that I like is I'll take this information and have like a really awesome prompt, turn it into like a almost like a psychoanalysis profile. So I know, hey, if I'm sending Julia an email, like this is how I should like word the subject line so she opens it. Or if I'm hopping on a meeting with Julia, like here are some things I can like keep in mind. So I'm just like best prepared. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. Does this look accurate?
I guess I'm more curious, Ethan, how do you scale that? And I don't know, like how do you scale that in per se in outreach?
Yeah, you're saying how do I scale like this specific instance into outreach?
Yes, like integrating some insights or, relevance. Like what's your approach to outreach, by the way?
Yeah, so like what I usually do is I take this and I'll like log it into the easiest way is say I had a lead list of like 1,000 people. I
Mhm.
could run this for every person. And so I ran the more expensive version. This was 50 cents. I've seen agents do just as good for like 20 cents if I told it to not be a little bit less relentless. So what I would do is I'd enrich like all those 100 people at once. And then from that, once I have like 100 backgrounds, I can use AI to write individual copy, and maybe that's like another 10 cents. But at least what we see in like the reply and open rates is definitely worth it. Um, and then usually for that, I use SendGrid, like within Lindy, we undergo SendGrid. So I use like Lindy to enrich these people and then send out emails with our company SendGrid.
Mhm. And what's your pricing model, by the way?
Yeah, so our pricing, so for self-serve, it's all credit based. So credit based, you can think of one credit as roughly 1 cent. For as little as, our business plan starts at $300 for 30,000 credits. My email automation, or my email agent, for example, that probably cost me 3 credits. This run cost me 50 credits. So our business plan starts at 300. If you want to work more directly with our team, we have AI engineers, so people that are honestly like 5 times better builders than me, and they actually help deploy agents in your organization. And we've done that already for hundreds of customers. And within that, the AI implementation engineer helps actually not only deploy agents for you, like a first couple, but helps upskill people on your team so you guys can build more yourself.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Curious, Ethan, what are you allowed to share in terms of, the roadmap?
Roadmap? Yeah, I think so. What's super exciting that we have coming up is a lot of people, it's like hard to gauge, like, hey, how are my agents doing? Or how can I make a change and know that this was the best change? So we have a lot of really exciting stuff coming around, agent monitoring, and I'll kind of leave it at that. But there's going to be a lot of ways to kind of manually build ways to assess your agent's performance as well as like just optimize them automatically. So those are two things that I'm pretty excited for.
And folks are asking, what's the simplest way to start building their first agent within Lindy?
Yeah. Best way to start doing it is opening up an account. You can click on new agent, and you'll see that there's this explore templates. So we have hundreds of templates, and then we also have, if we head to home, you can also create agents off text. So if I had started to explain here, I don't know if we're gonna have time to demo it live today, but I could just ask for like an email agent and we'll just see it pop up through the conversation right here.
Super cool. And in terms of 2026, obviously, was such an intense year with all of the events and transitions into agentic everything. What's your prediction, Ethan, for GTM and AI?
Yeah, I think we're going to see, I don't know. I think a lot of people are skeptical of agents, and like rightfully so, because online there's just like a ton of hype and noise. And so I think like what we've seen is like the trend of kind of through 2026 is like a lot of the things that are more pattern filled, like honestly should be given to an agent right now. And just like a lot of people don't. I think as we see the models get better, you're going to see the agents handle things that are less pattern focused, like a lot better. So you see that agent step as an example of something that has like a broad task and is more flexible. So I think we're just going to see if things that needed a pattern to be automated today, things are going to need a little bit less of a pattern to be automated next year. I mean, we're going to see that cut in pretty significantly. I still think the biggest bottleneck is honestly just, people have these like workflows and patterns and processes in their head. And if you could just draw it out on a piece of paper, like you can turn it into an agent. And I think that skill is still growing for a lot of people.
How do you approach that at Lindy?
Yeah, honestly, when I need a new agent, I literally just I draw it out on a piece of paper and then I go build the agent, or I'll take a picture and give it to AI to turn into a prompt to give to the agent builder. So like that's how I've kind of exercised that muscle, and just like I've always thought in kind of like patterns and workflows.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And for everyone watching, what's the best way to engage with you? And I know, just test drive this.
Yeah, totally. Could I share my screen real quick?
Yeah, sure.
There's two ways to engage with us. I'm gonna have two ways to engage with us. So let me just pull up this. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Sweet. Yeah, so if you're interested in working more directly with our team, when I talk about our Lindy Enterprise plan, you get to work with a dedicated Lindy.ai engineer. I would say these people are like 5 times smarter at building agents than me at this point, and they help deploy them on your team so that you'll have a couple of really solid use cases and help enable your team. So you can see some kind of cool ones on the side here. We've already done this for hundreds of customers in most industries. So there's a ton of ways to get going there. And then if you want to head to this link, go.lindy.ai/hardskill. This is where you can actually schedule a free discovery call with our team that will walk through and find, hey, like, we've been there in your business, in your shoes, like what are the best ways we see. So that's like the easiest way, if you want the more white glove approach. If you want to get started yourself, all the enrichment and the email agent I built today, I'd love to just give those to you guys. So if you just connect with me on LinkedIn and DM me just skills, my agent will be able to send you all those templates and a couple credits to go get started. So those are the two best ways.
Thanks again, Ethan.